I stood in my father's living room, the walls echoing with laughter and music, clutching the leather-bound album I'd spent months crafting. This was it. Dad's 60th birthday, my one chance to make him proud, truly proud in front of everyone. I laid the album gently on the gift table and turned away for just a second to grab a drink. Rip! A sound like tearing flesh sliced through the celebration. I spun around. And there he was, my brother, Chase, towering over the trash can, my handmade photo album in ribbons at his feet. "Oops," he said, his smirk curving like a snake. "Guess I wasn't watching where I stepped." Gasps rose. A couple of cousins laughed. My mom, Daedra, waved it off. "Now don't make a big deal, Elle, it was just an accident." But it wasn't, not even close. And the worst part. My dad's sweet, soft-spoken Henry Roth stood there stunned, his mouth slightly open, saying nothing. No one defended me, not one. I swallowed my pride, grabbed my purse, and walked out the front door of our suburban Boise home without a word. But in my head, I was screaming, and I made a promise I intended to keep. This would not be the end of it. Before I continue, let me ask you something. What city are you watching this from? I love knowing how far these stories travel. Drop it in the comments. People think pain like this comes out of nowhere, but it doesn't. Growing up in Boise, I was always second string in the Roth family. Chase was the golden boy. First to get a job, first to buy a house, and constantly praised for landing some flashy sales job in Silicon Valley. My name, Elle Roth, was rarely mentioned unless someone needed a babysitter or a check signed. Even when I became a single mom and landed a management position at the credit union, it wasn't enough. Chase's LinkedIn updates got more attention than my entire existence. But I never showed it. I swallowed the bitterness. Focused on raising my daughter, Maya, and built a life of quiet dignity. That photo album, it was supposed to be my way of showing Dad I mattered too. Photos from our camping trips. Mom's old Polaroids. Handwritten captions under each memory. I even spent $400 on custom binding and archival pages. But Chase, he destroyed it with one careless act, and the smirk on his face told me everything I needed to know. It wasn't careless, it was calculated. That night back at my apartment, I sat on the floor with what was left of the album. Torn pictures, smeared ink, years of memories crushed. Then my phone buzzed. It was Chase. "Nice try with the scrapbook, sis. Too bad it ended up where it belongs." I stared at the message, my hands shaking. It was a declaration of war, and I wasn't about to lose. My best friend, Josie Campton, had seen everything at the party. She dropped by with snacks and 2 bottles of wine. "You okay?" she asked. "No," I said, "but I'm not going to cry over it anymore. I'm going to fix this." She raised a brow. "Fix how?" I looked up, calm, focused. "By taking everything he cares about. Slowly." 2 days after the party, I walked into the restaurant where Chase and his fiancée, Arielle Monroe, had booked their wedding venue, this overpriced farm-to-table place in downtown Boise with string lights and reclaimed wood everything. I smiled politely at the manager. "Hi, I need to cancel a reservation. The deposit was under my name, Elle Roth. It was for the Roth-Monroe wedding." He tapped at the computer, then looked up. "Oh, yeah. We just finalized the headcount last week." "I'm aware," I said, cool as glass. "But the deposit came from my account. I'm pulling it." It was true. I'd fronted the $2,000 as a gesture of peace months ago. After everything Chase had done, I wanted it back. And more importantly, I wanted the cracks in his perfect little world to start showing. As the manager processed the refund, my hands didn't even shake. That afternoon, Chase posted a Facebook rant long enough to qualify as a novel. "My own sister sabotaged my wedding. She's always been jealous. This is what happens when bitter people can't stand to see others happy." The comment section exploded. Old family friends piled on. A few relatives sent me private messages trying to mediate. But the worst, my mother. She showed up at my house that evening, arms crossed and jaw tight. "Elle, what are you doing?" "That money was for Chase's wedding. You know how important this is to him." I stared at her. "And my photo album wasn't important," she blinked. "That was an accident." "No, it wasn't," I said, stepping closer. "It was cruel. And so is defending him after everything he's done." She scoffed. "You're making a mess over nothing." And just like that, she walked out. But then, the universe shifted. A few nights later, Arielle called me. At first, I braced for another lecture, but her voice was shaky, nervous. I need to say I'm sorry. My heart skipped. I sank into the couch, clutching the phone. I saw what Chase did to that album. I saw how he laughed when you left the party. I thought maybe it was just stress, but he's been different since. Controlling, cold. And when I found his private messages, well, let's just say he wasn't only mocking you. My stomach dropped. What kind of messages? Let's just say I know about Allison, and I'm not marrying someone who's planning a bachelor party trip to Tijuana without telling me. Boom. The cracks were now full-on fractures. I canceled the wedding, she said. The venue refunded you, right? Yes. Good, then we're even, she paused. But just so you know, I'm not done with him either. Chase's life was unraveling, and I hadn't even broken a sweat yet. But the revenge, that was just getting started. 2 days after Ariel canceled the wedding, my father, Henry, called me, and for a brief, ridiculous second, I thought maybe he was calling to apologize. But no. He barked, did you talk Ariel out of marrying your brother? I gripped the phone so tightly it hurt. Dad, I didn't say a word to her. She saw who he was all by herself. He sighed heavily, like he was the victim here. You canceled the deposit, now the wedding's off. You've gone too far. I stared at the wall, stunned. You really think I'm the problem here? There was silence. Then the call ended. That night, I sat on my porch with a glass of red wine, watching the stars disappear behind clouds. My phone buzzed again. It was a message from Ariel. You deserve to know, there's more. Chase has been lying about his job for months. He was fired in June. What? He told his parents he took a sabbatical, but he's been unemployed and racking up credit card debt. He was counting on wedding gifts to float him through the year. I nearly dropped my glass. So that's why he was acting so erratic. He wasn't on top, he was drowning. The next day, I did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to my father's cousin, Lucille, a retired IRS agent who now ran a financial planning business. The family called her Nosy Lucy. What they should have called her was unstoppable. I told her everything: Chase's job loss, the wedding cancellation, the growing pile of debt. Lucille was silent for a moment. Then she said, give me 48 hours. 2 days later, she called me with her findings. You were right. He's been funneling money through personal accounts and listing business dinners that never happened. If the IRS audits him, he's toast. I sat in my office, heart pounding. So what now? I'll make sure the right red flags get filed. An audit might be the least of his problems. There are discrepancies in his 401k withdrawals too. I was speechless. She chuckled. Oh, honey, he set the fire. I'm just showing people where to look. Chase's social media went dark a week later. He deleted the wedding rant, removed his LinkedIn, radio silence, but I wasn't done, because someone else had reached out. My ex-sister-in-law, Chase's first wife, Noel. Yes, he had a previous marriage that our family never talked about, one he had erased from every holiday photo and family conversation. And Noel had stories that made my stomach twist. You're not the first person Chase has tried to erase, she said. He did it to me too, gaslighted, lied, took credit for my promotions. He nearly wrecked my life. She paused. But if you're willing to go public, I'll back you. We can bring receipts. Receipts? Oh, she had plenty. Emails, financial records, even a voicemail he accidentally left her while mocking our dad after a Christmas party. I stared at my phone. My fingers hovered over the post button. Because now I had everything. All the dirt, all the lies, all the receipts, and a choice. By the time I posted it, my hands were steady. It wasn't some angry rant or dramatic call-out. No, I kept it clean, precise, devastating. For those asking why Chase Roth's wedding was canceled, I won't speak for others. But I will speak for myself. Last month, he destroyed a photo album I spent months making for our father's 60th birthday, shredded it during the party, laughed about it, and mocked me afterward. Then, when I canceled the wedding deposit I paid for, he accused me of sabotage online. Since then, I've learned more from past and present partners. Lies, debts, mistreatment. To anyone wondering why I'm done with him. This is why. I attached screenshots. Not every dirty detail, just enough. His mocking text about the album. His debt. A screenshot of a chat with Ariel confirming he'd lied about his job. And then I hit post. Within minutes, my inbox filled up. Family, friends, coworkers, even a few of Chase's former coworkers. He did something similar at our office. Took credit for my project, then threw me under the bus. Thank you for speaking up. That guy is poison. But the one message that stopped me cold, it came from Dad. We need to talk. I didn't reply right away, I needed time. Instead, I called Josie and read the comments out loud, our laughter bubbling over every OMG, and I knew he was a snake. But beneath the joy was something else. Relief. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't the one in the shadows. 2 days later, my doorbell rang. It was my mom, no makeup, puffy eyes. She said quietly. I was wrong. I didn't speak, just let her keep going. I thought protecting Chase meant pretending nothing was wrong, but it turns out, he's the one who broke this family, not you. She reached into her purse and pulled out something I hadn't seen in years, a photo. Of me, age 11, standing next to Dad at the lake, holding a fish almost as big as my arms. Chase was in the background, arms crossed, glaring. I found this in an old box, I realized. This was always about envy. She handed it to me, her eyes filling. I'm sorry. I took it. I didn't say it was okay, but I nodded. That was enough. Lucille called again. IRS contacted him. They're requesting documentation he can't produce. She didn't gloat. She didn't have to. He'll probably lose his house, and the penalties will haunt him for years. I didn't feel triumphant, but I did feel peace. The kind you get when someone finally faces the consequences of every cruel, selfish decision they made. Weeks passed. The post had gone quiet. Chase's name wasn't trending in our family group chat anymore. His friends stopped defending him. The few who tried were quickly drowned out by facts, screenshots, and a growing list of people saying, "Same thing happened to me." And then came the call that sealed it. Lucille, sharp as ever, her voice calm. He's under formal investigation now. Fraud, tax evasion, and the bank may press charges for misusing business funds. I leaned against the kitchen counter, heart pounding but steady. What about his house? She sighed. Pre-foreclosure, the truth caught up with him. Just like that. Chase Roth, the golden boy, the favorite, the family success story, was now unemployed, broke, and under investigation. And I hadn't lifted a single lie. That spring, I did something I never thought I could. I went back to that torn photo album. Piece by piece, I restored it. Scanned damaged photos, rewrote the captions by hand. Rebound the cover myself with fabric Maya picked out from a local craft shop. Then I rented out the little community hall at Camel's Back Park, the place Dad loved most. I invited everyone, but this time I didn't care who showed up. It was for me, for Dad, for truth. And surprisingly, they came. Dad walked in holding Mom's hand. His eyes scanned the photos hanging from string lights on the wall, each memory lovingly restored. When he got to the center table, where I'd laid the repaired album, he paused. He picked it up. His hand brushed the new cover. He flipped through the pages silently, his eyes misting over. When he looked up at me, I saw it. The truth in his eyes. I was wrong, he whispered. You've always been the heart of this family, I just never looked close enough. I nodded, choking up, finally hearing the words I'd wanted my entire life, not from a viral post. Not from revenge, but from him. 2 weeks later, an envelope came, no return address. But I knew the handwriting. Chase. Inside was a letter, short and calculated. I'm sorry you felt hurt. I was under pressure. I wasn't myself. I hope one day we can talk, maybe start over. It wasn't an apology. It was a salvage attempt, a plea to get something back now that he had nothing left. I folded the letter and slid it into the back of the album, not out of forgiveness, but as a reminder. Of what I'd overcome. Of what I would never allow again. These days, Josie still drops by with wine. Ariel and I meet for coffee once a month. She started a podcast about toxic relationships, and sometimes she quotes me on it. My dad and I go for walks at Camel's Back on Sunday mornings, just us, no small talk needed. And Maya, she knows now what real strength looks like. Not loud, not angry, but steady, quiet, unshakable. Chase tried to erase me. He failed. Because when someone tries to tear you down and you rebuild stronger, they don't just lose power, they lose access. He lost his fiancée, his job, his reputation, his family. And all I did was tell the truth. Because the truth, when you finally let it out, it burns cleaner than revenge. Thank you for listening to my story. If you were me, would you have posted that Facebook message? Let me know in the comments. And if this story moved you, hit like and subscribe. More twists coming soon.